terror attack in the U.S. 2,752 people died when those two planes flew into the Twin Towers in New York.
Today, we've had a national tragedy. Two airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. Terrorism against our nation will not stand.
On this day of remembrance of the victims of 9/11, we take this opportunity to reflect on our own community and how we handle struggles within it. We honor our first responders in today's episode with their service to our community.
Both the Collierville Fire Chief and Collierville Police Department share their experience in what a scary and tumultuous time for our country.
And we connect with the Collierville High School Red Cross Club to also learn what they do to embrace the service mindset for our school and community. This is DragonFire, and it starts right now. In our first report, Collierville's Chief of Police gives us insight on being a first responder. We go now to DragonFire reporter Sid Gellett to learn more. Sid?
Thank you, Julia. Chief Lane had much to say about the impact of this fateful day in our country's history and how it's impacted his presence in our community.
My name is Dale Lane. I'm the Chief of Police at Collierville. I get to help people. I love right now in my job, I get to hopefully set the path for new police officers coming in. I love that law enforcement, particularly here in Collierville, where it's a profession. It's not just a job. It's something that we recognize that it's an important role in our community, and we want to reduce people's fear. We want them to have confidence in us and to go about their daily lives without having to worry about being a victim. I was working for the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, and I was in our Special Operations building when the planes hit the towers. And we first thought it was an accident when the first plane hit, and then when the second plane hit, just a short time later, we all knew that this was different. Then we began to be concerned that it was a terrorist attack that could impact. There could be other targets around the community, and we began to setting up operations around our other critical infrastructure here locally. See policemen, firefighters, paramedics, doctors, even chaplains that were running into that building to help other people, and then watch as the day progressed and know that when those towers collapsed, that people were dying instantly. It created this feeling in the country that brought us together as Americans that I had never seen in my lifetime. We know that on that day, over 2,700 of our fellow citizens died. It wasn't an accident. It was on purpose. They meant to hurt us. And so the resolve to not ever let that happen again also was implanted in many Americans after that.
We here at DragonFire want to thank the Collierville Chief of Police and the entire department for sharing their experience with us, and also for their service to our community in keeping us safe. Back to you at the desk, Julia.
You've all likely heard of the writer's strike happening in Hollywood, but do you know about the effect it will have on the film industry? Late-night talk shows and many television productions were put on long-term hiatus due to the writer's strike. Movies, some in mid-production, have shut down too, from Ridley Scott's Gladiator, sequel to Deadpool 3, and studios are also pushing some of their completed films into 2024 as well. TV shows like Abbott Elementary, American Dad, and Big Mouth have paused work during this strike. Until the writers' demands for fair contracts and restrictions on the use of AI are met, they will remain on strike.
Do you have any plans for the next 3 years? If not, you can take a worldwide cruise for 1,095 days. Make sure you've saved up though, because this trip isn't cheap. For around $39,000 a year per person, you'll get to visit all 7 continents, 140 countries, and 13 of the 14 wonders of the world. From snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef to exploring Easter Island, the ship MV Laura takes you to it all. Has room for up to 1,200 passengers, an onboard hospital, a variety of cabin sizes, and many other amenities. Boarding November 1st in Istanbul, the Life at Sea cruise is sure to be a memorable and pricey tour around the world. Colorful's Chief of Police, our very own fire chief, was also at work during the September 11th attacks. One notable difference was that Chief dispatched with FEMA to help at the Pentagon. DragonFire student journalists DJ Hall and Jordan Gaston bring us more.
My name is John Selberg. I'm the fire chief here in Collierville. 9/11, I was on my way to a terrorism drill with the FBI at the Old Baptist Hospital in Memphis, and had stopped by the fire station to pick up fire prevention materials for my kids' school. And the firefighters said, "Come in here." They just showed a plane hit a building in New York. And when I was in there watching it, that's when the second plane hit. And then obviously I knew things had changed. That was no longer an accident. It made me really proud, particularly when I saw what happened in New York with the firefighters that did what just about every firefighter is going to do. They kept going in to rescue people, even knowing that they probably weren't coming out, and made me really proud of the fire service and the police officers. And so that was probably the biggest part of what it did for me, and realized that this country, we have a lot more in common than we do apart. Shortly after it happened, we got contacted by FEMA that they were sending teams up there. They didn't even know for sure where we were going, if we were going to New York or the Pentagon. While we were getting ready to go, they sent our team to the Pentagon. So we were pretty quick to get sent up there. We actually left that evening. At the Pentagon, it was more organized than it was in New York, because New York was so widespread. But it was obvious that there was a lot of concern. They were still trying to rescue. It's, make sure that they didn't have anybody left that they could save. So there was a lot of concern. There was anger still, particularly the people that lived through it up there at the Pentagon were very angry. But everybody was focused on doing what they needed to do to basically recover the victim. I think overall, it made us realize that as a country, we're susceptible, and we can't just sit back and assume nothing will ever happen. And we need to actually rally around ourselves and remember what America's all about, and basically thrive on that.
I'm Dylan Morrow, and this is your current events update. A blue supermoon recently appeared in the sky overnight, with people from around the world capturing the rare phenomenon. Supermoon is a nickname used when there is a full moon that is larger and closer to Earth than usual. Despite it being a blue supermoon, it looked orange when it emerged in the night sky. On a more local note, the Collierville Balloon Festival returns again in 2023 on Maynard Way. The festival brings together more than 20 stunning hot air balloons, live entertainment, food, arts and craft vendors, and more to provide for a great time for the whole family. Gates open at 3 p.m. on Saturday the 16th and Sunday the 17th for the festival. Additionally, in local news, Chick-fil-A has withdrawn its parking variance application for a proposed location at Poplar Avenue and Brace Station Road in Collierville. The variance would have allowed the franchise to deviate from town guidelines. Instead, the chicken chain has revised its plan to fit the guidelines. If the new site is approved, the existing Chick-fil-A site would be demolished. Public notice signs will be placed on the properties before the items appear on Planning Commission agenda, and postcards will be sent to nearby neighbors.
I think it was during the summer of my sophomore year, I started researching more about volunteering opportunities that are available in Collierville, and then I found out about the services scheduling position, which is an online position where you basically help schedule members for blood drives and stuff like that. Last year, we hosted a blood drive, which was school-wide, and all of the students and faculty could donate. If you want to get involved personally, there's also blood drives that are around the Memphis area, or you can volunteer online. What the officers do, they communicate with the people at the Red Cross organization, and we basically help plan volunteer activities. We help organize the blood drive and advertise it, get people to sign up and stuff like that. Yeah, this year, we hope to get the club more involved. Yeah, we hope to also have another blood drive this year, and then Also, each club meeting doing more like small activities so that the members can feel more involved in the community. I think just last year during the blood drive, we were able to get over 50 units of blood, which was over our goal. And I think the whole school and the whole club, they were all able to come together and kind of work together for a greater cause. The things that we plan to do gets me really excited to come back.
My name is Farah and I'm in 11th grade.
My name is Joshua. I'm a sophomore this year.
I am Chester Striplin and I teach theory of flight.
I really love when we fly the simulators. Just learning about planes and stuff in general is just kind of interests me.
We learn the fundamentals of flight. We also learn the human factors of flight, what flight does to them as individuals.
Planes and stuff in general interests me, so just being in the class is fun. I'm actually starting on getting my flight hours right now through the programs.
Like to look for a college that might support aviation.
We usually go through like a 30-minute lesson, actually like get our flight time logged into our book on the simulators.
After he's done with his lesson, if we want to, we can fly in the simulators.
And we actually learn how to fly the airplane and all the procedures.
There's flight training outside of high school that this high school pays for, and hopefully I can find time to do that.
Right now getting my physical, so I will start doing that.
We do have lectures, we have PowerPoints, we have videos. We would do physical training on the simulators in here. And once they finish all of that, they go out to the airfield and they'll start their flying. I think it's new to them and they're excited about it. They're excited about the future, and it's something that they probably thought they couldn't achieve until it came into the high school arena. My goal is to produce future pilots for the industry.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to run a news program? Well, today we take you behind the scenes with the producers of DragonFire to see what being a producer is like.
My favorite thing about being a producer.
My favorite thing about being a producer.
My favorite thing about being a producer
is definitely being ahead over everything.
We get to actually approve the content that goes on the show. So it's a new kind of freedom because you're genuinely in charge of everything that gets on the air.
I feel like I earned it because I've been in this class since I was a freshman.
I know when to have fun and when to get serious.
I like that I get to help other people too and like train them for whenever I'm gonna leave this year.
I think my energy makes me a good producer. I think I'm very positive all the time. I bring a lot of different ideas on the table.
I can be serious and get the work done while also not being over demanding, I guess.
And being able to like manage a group, I feel like is a fun task.
I trust that people are doing what they need to do. If they need help, they know to come to me or to come to another producer. So just being helpful and not being overly controlling of what goes on here.
I'm really looking forward to growing and developing along with all of my kids.
What I look forward to most is I love doing the after-school filming. I think it's really fun to go and film something outside of school, like a school sporting event.
I think my favorite type of videos to work on are more like creative ones and skits for sure.
I think it's just overall fun to do.
What I'm looking forward to most about being a producer is that I can help others, like they can look up to me if they need like questions or anything.
If you're thinking about joining the class,
have fun, but also get your work done. It's a very fun class and it can be hard sometimes, but I feel like getting your work done and staying on top of your work is top priority.
I would make sure it's something you really want to do. You're gonna have to do work. You're gonna have to be capable of putting in that kind of work. Like you'll learn how to use equipment, how to do your job, but the doing your job part of it is what you really need to be serious about if you want to join the class.
Today, we speak to some members of our community about how the events of 9/11 have affected them and how America has changed since.
Have you ever heard the Alan Jackson song, Teaching a Class Full of Innocent Children? That's what I was doing when this happened. I was teaching. I actually thought somebody was kidding, and a student came to the door and said, Miss Collier said, turn your TV on. Someone crashed into the World Trade Center. I was like, I thought it was a joke.
My initial reaction was kind of disbelief, what was happening. And later that day, when my husband came home from work, we just kind of drove around, and it was kind of eerie how silent it was, and there was no traffic, and it was just disbelief.
So I think a couple of ways that America has been impacted is through, one, safety. I think a lot of airports have got, their safety got a lot tighter, not just airports, so like malls and just big events where there's a lot of people. I think another thing is there's been a kind of a false complex around people who are Islamic. I think there's been a false kind of stereotype around them since then.
Para Oaks Elementary School on September 11th, they hold a short ceremony around the school's flagpole. First, they raise the flag up to full mast, and then they lower it to half-mast. Then, 5 of their 5th grade class students will lead the entirety of the 4th grade class outside, where they will then sing the national anthem. They then will give basics about the events of 9/11 to the students, where they will hear about how our country was united together following the events of the tragedy. They then have a short moment of silence to remember and honor the fallen, and then they will conclude the ceremony there.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Julia Amick.
And I'm Heidi Wills. Take these next few moments to think about the impact of the September 11th attacks on our country and how the lives lost that day.
Never forget, Dragons. We hope you speak to those who were alive during the attacks to fully understand the day. And now, our moment of silence for those who lost their lives.